Anxiety is the most common mental health issue worldwide, and Canada is no exception. As of 2022, an estimated of 3.5 million Canadians were taking some kind of anti-anxiety medication. However, some studies estimate as much as half of all patients treated for generalized anxiety disorder will fail to respond to initial treatment. Treatment-resistant anxiety can be incredibly challenging and exhausting to live with for many patients. But now there's a new kind of treatment on the rise that's taking the mental health industry by storm. Ketamine therapy offers something different, a faster, potentially more effective approach than traditional medications or talk therapy, with minimal risks. With its rising popularity comes confusion. Is it legal? Is it safe? Is it for real? Or just another wellness trend? And if you're struggling with anxiety, the last thing you need is false hope. So we're here to break down the real science behind ketamine therapy for anxiety so you can understand how it works, what to expect, and if it might potentially be for you. Let's get into it. Anxiety is a neurological condition marked by persistent overactivation in key parts of your brain. Now, this is an oversimplification, but there are three key areas at play here. The first is the amygdala, the brain's emotion and fear center. In people with anxiety disorders, the amygdala tends to be hyperactive and tends to flag harmless stimuli as dangerous. This overactivation sends distress signals to other areas of the brain, triggering physical symptoms like muscle tension, increased heart rate, and shallow breathing. The second brain region affected by anxiety is the prefrontal cortex, the grown-up part of your brain that helps you plan, prioritize, make decisions, solve problems, and regulate emotions being processed by your overactive amygdala. In anxiety, the connection between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala is often impaired, making it harder to talk yourself down from spiraling thoughts. Last but not least, there's the default mode network. This structure is made up of a few different brain areas connected in a circuit. The default mode network is sometimes associated with daydreaming, as it activates when you're not focused on the outside world. But in people with anxiety, the default mode network often operates in a dysfunctional manner that promotes more rumination and negative thought patterns that characterize anxiety. It's like background noise in your brain that never shuts off. And the worst part is that the more of these circuits fire, the harder it is to break free from them and build new thought habits. At a chemical level, anxiety has been linked to imbalances in brain chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, GABA, and glutamate. Traditional medications like SSRIs aim to increase serotonin levels, the happy hormone, while benzodiazepines increase GABA levels, which dampen the signals in your overactive amygdala. But these approaches can take weeks to work and don't always address the root circuit dysfunction. This is where ketamine becomes uniquely powerful. Instead of working around the stuck circuits, ketamine appears to disrupt them entirely, allowing the brain to escape well-worn thought loops and rewire itself in real time. That's why patients often describe the experience as a reset or a quieter, more spacious version of their mind. Understanding these brain mechanisms gives us the lens to appreciate why ketamine might offer something traditional treatments can't, a direct route to solve the root problem, rather than band-aid for the symptoms. Ketamine was originally produced and approved as an anesthetic in 1970. It wasn't until the early 2000s that researchers discovered something unexpected. It turns out that in low doses, ketamine seems to work as a surprisingly effective antidepressant. That catapulted ketamine into the mental health limelight. It became the subject of countless studies. How does it work on the brain? Is it safe to use? What else could it treat? In time, we figured out that ketamine works by triggering neuroplasticity, enhancing the brain's capacity to learn, change, and adapt. It lets you create new neural connections that break away from entrenched thought patterns that might not serve you anymore. This process creates a temporary window of opportunity for establishing fresh habits, thought patterns, and perceptions. On top of that, ketamine acts on the glutamate system in the brain, which is involved in learning, memory, and the synaptic plasticity I just described. It's also thought to influence other neurotransmitter systems, including serotonin and dopamine, which play crucial roles in mood regulation. This multidimensional mechanism is part of the reason why ketamine can give mental health and anxiety patients long-lasting benefits and fast. Ketamine also reduces activity in the default mode network, which may help break the thought loops driving anxiety. Imagine watching your anxious thoughts from a distance instead of being consumed by them. Some patients describe seeing vivid imagery or gaining profound insights that emerge during the session as a result of this new take on their thought pattern. Ketamine seems to be a saving grace for many patients with treatment-resistant anxiety. In one recent study, 50% of participants with treatment-resistant anxiety showed a significant reduction in symptoms after just one ketamine infusion, with effects lasting up to 2 weeks. Traditional anti-anxiety medication like SSRIs and benzodiazepines don't work on the glutamate system. They target different receptors in the brain, but ketamine does. And this different mechanism of action may be why it works when nothing else does, and it's easier to administer than you might think. In Canada, ketamine is legal. It was originally approved as an anesthetic, but when a drug is used for something different than it was first approved for, it's called off-label use. This happens all the time in medicine. For example, antidepressants approved for depression are often prescribed to help with sleep. Doctors can prescribe ketamine-assisted therapy based on their judgment, and clinics like ours deliver it safely through strict medical protocols. First, you'll need to book a consultation where we talk about your current situation, take a medical history, and evaluate if ketamine is safe and appropriate for you. If you're eligible, we'll pair you with a therapist to prepare mentally and emotionally for the sessions. Then it's time for your ketamine therapy session. These usually last about 2 hours, with the ketamine experience itself lasting 40 to 60 minutes. During this time, you'll enter an altered state of consciousness in a safe, comfortable, and controlled environment. The ketamine itself can be delivered via lozenge, nasal spray, or injection. As your mind opens up, you may gain new perspectives on your anxiety and life challenges. Patients often describe a floaty, dissociative experience that can be calming. If any difficult moments arise, your therapist will be there to guide and support you through them. But the experience doesn't end when the effects of the medicine wear off. After your experiential session, you'll work with your therapist to unpack what you experienced and begin turning those insights into lasting change. This is called the integration phase, and it's where much of the long-term healing happens, as you reprocess emotions, memories, and patterns in a healthier way. A typical treatment series includes 6 to 9 ketamine-assisted psychotherapy sessions, each supported by preparation and integration therapy to help clients process their experiences, deepen their insights, and promote lasting change. It can certainly sound like a wonder drug, but it's not a silver bullet. The truth is, it isn't for everyone, and comes with its own set of risks and side effects. But in a nutshell, most patients only experience mild side effects, with the most common being nausea, dizziness, and mild dissociation, and these wear off very quickly following the session. However, certain pre-existing conditions like uncontrolled high blood pressure or a history of psychosis may rule out ketamine treatment for you, as it can be unsafe. We've got a video that goes into depth into what makes someone an unsuitable candidate for ketamine. You can check it out here. Long-term effects of ketamine are still being studied, but so far evidence suggests that ketamine therapy, when administered properly in clinical settings, is safe and effective for extended use. So what's the bottom line? Ketamine is fast-acting, it's powerful, and for some it's the first thing that ever really helped. But it's not a miracle drug. If you feel you're not getting anywhere with traditional treatments, or simply want to try an alternative, ketamine-assisted therapy might be worth exploring. It creates space for healing, and with the right support, can offer a real turning point toward a better life. At Field Trip Health, every step of your care is guided by experienced medical professionals. We've developed a step-by-step approach that prioritizes safety, clinical evidence, personalized care, and most importantly, hope. If you're ready to take the next step, we offer a free discovery call to see if ketamine therapy is right for you. We'd be happy to hear from you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.